So here's our model. This is a model that I want to do more proof of concept with. We've looked at her in some of our line drawing demos, and now we have a chance to look at her in light and shadow. So I like to do that with you. I like to use some of the same models so we have a familiar face that we can think about construction and think about value on. So here's that simple statement once again. This is really tough to deal with. It's really tough not to get lost in the complexities of who she is here. But good news, folks. All of you can do this. All of you can render that. You can do it right now, and you've got to learn to see it like this. And then once you have that working for you, you can come back in and bring that detail and that refinement and those edges and details into it. And you can simply come out the other side with something you're really proud of. This approach of the simple massing of light and shadow gives it to you. It makes it doable for the worst of us. Those of us who have the most challenges with all of this, it makes it doable. And you wouldn't believe how many students look at him, and at an angle like this, there's just an unfortunate light hitting right there. You wouldn't believe how many students spend, half an hour carefully noodling and rendering that, because after all, it's there. They noodle it and render it so much that it looks like something that the poor guy has to take to the hospital to have removed. Don't let it happen. Look for this. This is what's going to get you the distance. This is the guts. And right now you have the capability of seeing like this and rendering like this. Then you come back, you bring some of that surface detail, that information. You've got a portrait that you're really proud of. So I want to point out, as you're dealing with the complexities of the light and shadow, that as you're working in the light, the highlights tend to fall on the crest of the form, meaning we have 3/4 light coming in. At the crest of the form here, there's highlight. On this side there's halftone, that side there's halftone. It gives us that feel of turning form. So let's look at the cheek. Crest of the form, highlight. Halftone here, halftone here, but at that crest we have highlight. Look at the nose. At the crest we have highlight, into halftone, into shadow, going the other direction, highlight, halftone, and then highlight again. Remember, a convex shape has a highlight at its crest, but a concave shape does as well. I'm meaning concave, meaning cutting into the form this way. Right at the crest of that valley, once again, there's a highlight. So it's a simple logic, my friends. Get used to it, look for it. Halftone, highlight, halftone. Highlight, halftone, highlight, halftone. See that? It beautifully turns your form and gives beautiful clarity to your subject. It gives this flat, two-dimensional paper, three-dimensional life. It gives it something that's true. So that's what you can look for to really emphasize the clear form in your subject. So I always like to show a couple things as a proof of concept. So here's kind of a loose charcoal drawing where I've made some of those decisions. Hey, it's about what's in the light, and so I've simplified and lost a lot of things happening in the shadow. And so to make that light work, shadow curving into halftone light, highlight at the crest, curving again into shadow. Look at it on the nose. Halftone, highlight, halftone again. Highlight at the valley, the crest, and then coming out, here's the crest of the cheek. Halftone, highlight, halftone again. Turning form. It's so simple. Halftone, highlight, halftone, highlight, halftone, highlight, halftone. Boom, you've got form turning. You see it here. This is quick sketch. I have to turn those forms real fast. So between my Riley construction and those turning forms, I've got it in a short period of time. Here's something a little bit more worked out. But you see that reliance on how the form turns in the light. So here's what we're going to do then for your homework, for our exercise for today. I want you to really concentrate on what's in the light and ignore completely what's in the shadow. I want you to do yourself this favor of taking everything that's in shadow and just turning it black, okay? So for your homework, I want you to find or create a situation that has a spotlight, a point light source. Whether you're going to a life drawing session somewhere where they have a spotlight on the model and you have a long pose, hopefully at least a couple of hours for you to really work this out, that's what you need to set up. First thing I want you to do is say to yourself, well, first thing I want you to do is to work out a careful construction drawing as a means to an end of light and shadow. Then what I want you to do is nothing more than here's what's in light, here's what's in shadow. Make that decision. Don't leave any room for ambiguity. And some people reasonably answer, well, hey, I see a very bright bounce light coming up under her chin. Are we calling that light? No. For the sake of the simplicity of this assignment and for future reference, light means direct light. Whatever's in line of sight from your light source, that's direct light. Everything that's not in that direct light, we're going to call it shadow. No matter how much bounce light or atmospheric is in it, let's call that shadow. Okay? Do yourself this favor of being this simple. What's in the light? What's in the shadow? For this exercise only, not for future portrait rendering. So now you come in, you ignore the shadow, but you work on what's in the light, and you start turning those forms, halftones curving into light. And I'm going to show you in some of the demos that I'm doing for you. I'm using the kneaded eraser to pick out some of the lights. So I'm getting that turning form, halftone into highlight, into halftone again, finding where that light hits the hair. But remember, direct light only. Everything in shadow goes to black, and coming out the end with something that still works, something that still reads, even though we've ignored the shadow. That is what your homework assignment and exercise is for this week. Let's do one more, because you may have a female subject with softer features, or you may have a male subject maybe that's a little older or has a lot of character. So let's go back to one of our favorites and look once again at Mark. Simple construction, build that up, and then for this assignment only, what's in light, what's in shadow. And then work out the forms within the light, ignore anything that you see happening in the shadow. You'll come out the other side with something that has some real strength to it. So give that a shot. Really enjoy turning form in light. Give yourself the opportunity to create the illusion of life on your two-dimensional paper by rendering that light. Good luck. Oh, and I've got to make sure that I earn my keep here, so we've got a demonstration coming up for you. If you don't feel like you're ready to leave this lesson, if you don't feel like I've been thorough enough, then hang on tight. Take a deep breath. Hold on for the ride of your life.